Timothy Dalton discovering skiing in 1923 Season 2 is a clever James Bond in-joke. Timothy Dalton's Donald Whitfield discovered the sport of skiing in 1923 Season 2, and it serves as a funny joke for fans of the James Bond franchise. In 1923 Season 2, Episode 2, Donald Whitfield saw a group of his Norwegian workers skiing down a mountain and was awestruck by them. That moment actually turned out to be quite important, as it gave Whitfield an idea to market skiing as a leisure activity. It also showed Banner Creighton, Jerome Flynn, why he should be scared of Whitfield, which could have a major impact on the rest of 1923 Season 2. While Whitfield's discovery of skiing was an important part of 1923, it also had a secret joke for fans of the James Bond franchise. There isn't much overlap between Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone spin-off show and Ian Fleming's famous secret agent, except for Timothy Dalton himself. 1923 found a way to not only give Whitfield the tools for the rest of his evil plan, it also found a way to include a clever in-joke for anyone who likes 007. Long before Timothy Dalton started playing Donald Whitfield in 1923, he was, and still is, best known for playing James Bond in two films, License to Kill and The Living Daylights. Anyone familiar with the James Bond franchise likely knows that 007 is an exceptionally skilled skier, however, which makes the fact that Dalton's 1923 character had never heard of skiing before a funny reference. Dalton went from portraying one of the most famous skiers in film history to playing a man who had never even heard of the sport before. Timothy Dalton is also the perfect Bond actor for 1923's skiing joke, considering one of his most famous scenes as 007 heavily involves skiing. In The Living Daylights, Dalton's Bond had to escape down a mountainside by skiing, technically sledding, inside a cello case. Plenty of other Bond actors had skiing moments. There are 6 different James Bond ski chases in the franchise, but Dalton's is among the most memorable. 1923 found the perfect way to reference Dalton's time as 007 and provide a treat for fans of both franchises. Skiing and monetizing the sport seemed to be a big part of Donald Whitfield's plans to take over the Yellowstone Ranch in 1923 Season 2. While there is a chance Taylor Sheridan could write a poetic end to Dalton's character by having him die in a skiing accident, the very reason he's going after the Yellowstone at all, there's virtually no way that would actually happen. Whitfield himself said that he didn't have time to spend 2 days on my ass, and there doesn't seem to be a scenario where he would ever go skiing in the first place. On top of the simple fact that Whitfield probably won't be in a position to die while skiing, it would be a terribly anticlimactic ending to the main villain of 1923. If Whitfield died skiing, Spencer's Brandon Sklenar entire Odyssey home and all the Dutton's struggles would have been deflated by a random stroke of luck. It seems much more likely that Spencer has some plan to take Whitfield down and either have him arrested for his many crimes or put him in an early grave. Regardless, Timothy Dalton's skiing moment in 1923 is still a fun reference for James Bond fans. Timothy Dalton, the distinguished British actor known for his brooding and intense portrayal of James Bond in the late 1980s, has made a striking return to the small screen in 1923, the Yellowstone prequel series created by Taylor Sheridan. While Dalton's presence in the show is already a treat for fans of classic cinema, one moment in 1923 Season 2 carries an unexpected, clever nod to his James Bond past, his character discovering the art of skiing. For the uninitiated, Dalton played 007 in The Living Daylights, 1987, and License to Kill, 1989, bringing a darker, more serious interpretation of the legendary MI6 spy following Roger Moore's suave and often comedic tenure. While his Bond was best known for a grittier realism, he still participated in one of the franchise's most iconic tropes, ski chases. The Living Daylights opened with a thrilling action sequence in which Bond, pursued by assassins, navigated treacherous snowy slopes in Austria. This was just one of many legendary Bond skiing moments that had become a franchise staple, dating back to George Lazenby's On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and peaking with Roger Moore's breathtaking ski jump in The Spy Who Loved Me. Thus, when Dalton's character, Donald Whitfield, is introduced to skiing in 1923 Season 2, the scene immediately takes on a metatextual layer of humor and homage. Whitfield, a cold and calculating businessman with an intimidating presence, is not the type of man one imagines engaging in the youthful, exhilarating sport of skiing. Yet his tentative, almost skeptical first encounter with the activity mirrors the bemused elegance that Dalton once brought to Bond's effortless mastery of the slopes. The moment plays as an understated in-joke for cinephiles and Bond enthusiasts. As Whitfield awkwardly adjusts to his skis, perhaps scowling at the unfamiliarity of it all, longtime fans of Dalton's 007 can't help but recall his far more competent and suave downhill escapades. It's a cheeky contrast. The once deadly agent who used skis as a weapon of escape, now fumbling with the very notion of skiing as leisure. The irony is compounded by the historical setting of 1923. Skiing as a recreational sport was still relatively new to the American West at the time, much like how Dalton's Bond films were a fresh departure from the campier predecessors of the Moore era. Beyond the humor, this scene also acts as a subtle tribute to Dalton's underappreciated Bond tenure. While his films weren't box office juggernauts at the time of release, they have aged remarkably well, with modern audiences and critics recognizing his Bond as a precursor to the gritty realism that Daniel Craig would later perfect in Casino Royale. By including a skiing moment in 1923, Sheridan and his team are not only tipping their hats to Dalton's illustrious film career, but also reminding audiences of the lineage of action heroes he influenced. Moreover, the scene underscores Dalton's versatility as an actor. Though he is often remembered for his Shakespearean intensity and commanding presence, he also possesses a dry wit that made his Bond unique. One of the strengths of Dalton's Bond was that he could seamlessly balance danger with charisma, often delivering a well-timed quip or showcasing moments of exasperation in an otherwise high-stakes situation. Seeing Whitfield grapple with skiing in 1923 is a delightful reminder of this ability. The juxtaposition of an imposing villain figure humbled by a pair of skis adds unexpected levity to an otherwise heavy drama. In a broader sense, this moment highlights how pop culture continuously references and plays with its own history. Actors like Dalton, who have left a significant imprint on one of cinema's most enduring franchises, inevitably carry those associations into their future roles. It's akin to how Sean Connery's post-Bond performances would occasionally include winking nods to his spy legacy, or how Daniel Craig's Knives Out detective Benoit Blanc carried a charm that subtly parodied his 007 persona. For Bond fans, 1923's nod to skiing isn't just an Easter egg. It's a celebration of Dalton's legacy. It acknowledges that, while his tenure as James Bond was brief, it was immensely influential and continues to resonate with audiences. The Living Daylights and its ski chase remain iconic, and seeing Dalton once again associated with skiing, even in a vastly different context, is a delightful full-circle moment. Taylor Sheridan, a storyteller known for his attention to detail and layered character work, likely knew exactly what he was doing with this scene. Whether it was an intentional nod to Dalton's past or a happy accident, it enriches 1923 with an extra layer of meaning for those in the know. And for those who might not catch the reference, it's still a wonderful bit of character work, showcasing Whitfield's uncharacteristic vulnerability in a way that adds depth to his otherwise menacing persona. Ultimately, Timothy Dalton discovering skiing in 1923 Season 2 is more than just a fun moment. It's a clever, affectionate wink to his cinematic past. It reinforces the idea that no matter how many roles an actor takes on, certain images and memories remain deeply embedded in pop culture. Dalton may be Whitfield in 1923, but for those who grew up watching Bond barrel down snowy mountains with effortless cool, he will always be the agent who skied with a license to thrill.